Welcome to our video series, Hiding Behind the Mask, Conversations on Shame and Narcissism, combining psychological and spiritual perspectives. This is a 12-part series moderated by Dr. Kristen Seavey and featuring the insight of Reverend Robert Hirschfield, Episcopal Bishop of New Hampshire, and Dr. Patricia Gianotti, clinical psychologist and author. Each video segment will begin with a brief introduction by Dr. Seavey, where she will describe an overview of the content material. At the end of each section, a set of questions will appear on your screen. These questions are meant for personal reflection, or you may use the questions as a springboard for small group discussion. We hope you enjoy this series. And now, Dr. Seavey.
Dr. Gianotti is asked about the title of her book and uses the question as a springboard to address the notion of the resilient core, the power and resilience of the human spirit to block attempts to diminish the spirit in any way. Bishop Rob makes the connection to resurrection theology, that love is stronger than death, and that humans are forever striving to overcome emotional and spiritual obstacles that life generates.
I'm struck by the title of your book, Uncovering the Resilient Core. Wondering if you could provide the framework of the book and tell me a little more about that.
Sure, thank you.
Sure.
I don't think that it's very easy to kill the human spirit. No matter what the situation is or what the parenting is. Look, we have a bishop in front of us. His human spirit wasn't killed. So I think that there is a resilience inside of us that wants to heal and wants to grow and wants to live into our full potential, regardless of what happened to us when we were growing up, regardless of what's happening to us in the world today. There is a resilient core in each of us, let's say in this country. There's a resilient core that is really wanting to have its voice be recognized again. People are upset. And it's that resilience inside of them that is saying, this isn't right. We can do better. Enough is enough. Yeah. But it's that part of the spirit that gives me hope. It buoys me up to do this work for 35 years. I see the resilience coming through, and underneath all of the pain and the shame that people finally reveal to us in our offices, all of it, and Catherine, you're a psychologist, and many of you are, underneath that, what we eventually see is the resilient spirit coming forward, and it is such a privilege to witness that. It is such a privilege, and I'm sure you see it all the time.
You know, it's interesting, and I'm, as a Christian, I'm trying to think what I'm listening to you speak so eloquently, and the question about resilience, and I've had the experience. So at the end of the service of the Eucharist, the bishop is supposed to bless the congregation, and so I do, and I've adopted a blessing that's from the medieval church from St. Clare, and I've adapted it a little bit, but it goes. Live without fear. Do not be afraid. Your Creator has made you holy, has always protected you, and loves you with a power and a presence that is stronger than death. And the blessing of God Almighty. And no matter how much I've messed up the sermon or anything else during the Eucharist, people remember that, and they'll email me later in the week, and they'll say, "Could you give me the wording of that again?" And I think what it does is it connects resilience with the power of the resurrection. That we have God's self, being rejected, being shamed, being humiliated, pinned down on a cross, dies, and yet the story is that God lifts us up. And so sometimes I wonder, well, has God really protected me? I've been through some lousy crud, but not as much as others who have in the congregation. And yet here we are. Here we are. So somehow there's been a resilience, a grit. There's been other words that have been adopted. But I connect it to the Christian narrative.
The following questions are meant to stimulate personal reflection or small group discussion. We encourage you to capture a screenshot of these questions and use them for future reference. To order Dr. Gianotti's books, please contact the following websites. And Reverend Hirschfield's book is available through churchpublishing.org.